that teach, where our communications do more than just information. They heal, connect, and transform. Today's discussion is especially meaningful because it touches every home, every classroom, every workplace, and every human relationship. I'm thrilled to welcome Hadassah Rose. She is speech language therapist, pathologist, a language, a trauma informed communication expert, and co author of The Power Within. Her mission is all about helping people. So, Hadassah, before we get into, you can say, the heart of our discussion, I would like to welcome you with my heart, warm vibes of my heart, you can say the heart. And it's just a few seconds before that I heard that you are in from India, just my neighboring country. It's amazing thing for me. And another connection that God blessed me that I have with you. And I welcome you on my this show.
I am so honored to be here, Naseem. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so thankful.
Okay, one question that is about your name. When I want to get some information about but a wonderful personality, there are three names that click to my mind. At the beginning, I confused either she's the one person or there are three-person. Then I want that you should reveal what is the mystery behind this. It was Barley to Hadassah Shoshana and then Hadassah Rose. How
Yes.
did each step of the transformation shape how you see language as a healing?
Yes. What a great question to start with. It kind of puts me on the spot, which is amazing because it kind of gets into my personal life. So I'll definitely share this because it's part of my testimony and I'm just grateful to share. Um, my name was Bhairavi. I was born and named Bhairavi. I was born into an Indian family, and my parents are the most amazing people. I love them so much. They emigrated from India to Canada, and I was born in Canada. And I grew up Hindu. My dad converted us to Jainism when I was in my teenage years. And then I had a rebellion because it was very strict in my life. And in 2013, I had a recollection of all of the trauma and assault that I had experienced in my life. And during that time, I was seeking. And in my seeking, I found the New Age healing arts. And through the New Age healing arts, I got into some deep holes with witchcraft and occult and manifestation and things like this. And I was interestingly in a channeling class, and I was learning how to improve my psychic skills. And in that class, we were to engage with our guide at that time. And I was having this experience with my guide in my mind's eye. And as I was doing that, I saw the sky split open, and who I believed was Jesus at the time split the sky, anointed my head and my heart, and said, "I am your guide, follow me." And in that moment, I let go of everything and I said, "Okay, I don't know what this means, but whatever you say, I will do." So I followed that, and in I just did my same practices. I still participated in the same way, just with Jesus as my guide. And as I was going through my process of healing, every question that I had, I brought to Jesus, who I understood to be Jesus, whether it was true or not, right? And then I had some catastrophic events happen. Lots of catastrophic events happened in my life, which allows me to have this sense of communication because I feel resolved in those catastrophic events. And these timeline led me to a place where I encountered a confession. Someone asked me if I wanted to be baptized, and I said yes, not knowing what this meant because no one had shared these pieces of information with me. And I said yes. And in my saying yes, I was overcome with the greatest love that I had ever experienced in my life. And I knew that I had found what I was looking for. And from there, I continued to seek the truth through who I understand to be Yeshua, the the Jewish man who lived on the earth, who came as a guide back to the Father. I followed him continuously until I got to this place where I heard audibly that I would follow the commands. So the voices in my head told me to follow the Shabbat and to say the Shema, and that it would take me to the promised land. So in between all of that, I was with a friend who is a pastor, and I had felt that the part of me that was in so much pain had fallen away, had uh, virtually died, if I can use that word. And I asked my pastor friend, I said, "What am I supposed to do, Pastor? Am I supposed to like change my name? I feel like that girl died." And that night we met one of his friends who was preaching, and she pulled me up to the altar and she shared my life with me. And she said, God does not see you as an expensive person. He sees you as Hadassah. And I don't know if you know this, but Baravi is the name of a goddess. It's the name of the goddess of destruction. It's also the name of a song. And so there's a history to the name that I just didn't resonate. My soul just didn't resonate with anymore. And my name changed in that moment to Hadassah. I also loved the name Shoshana for so long. And when I had my name change, I changed it to Hadassah Shoshana. And then, so interestingly, I had a friend of mine say, "You look like a rose. You should use rose." And I was like, "Isn't it interesting that Shoshana means rose?" So I shortened it to Hadassah Rose, and that's where we are today.
Right. It's a wonderful and amazing story with your name. And first name that was you are sharing, that was the name of a goddess that belongs to destruction. That's very dreadful. And I think I think all that those catastrophes maybe from that side.
Yeah,
So
it's I had a
you have a
conviction.
quite link with that goddess.
Say it once more.
I think you have, because we have a link with that goddess of destruction. Maybe that all those catastrophe you faced in your life, maybe contributed from her.
I can't say that I know that to be
Yeah,
true,
yeah.
but I do know and believe that the reason why I experienced what I experienced was to be able to speak in this way and to be able to lead myself out of darkness so that others may also be lighted in that same vein.
The way you speak, it doesn't seem that you have faced so many things, dreadful things in your life.
That's the
You're
most
quite
wonderful compliment.
okay. That's why you said, and I quote: "The light isn't something we find outside ourselves. It's something waiting to burst out from within."
Mm.
From this point of view, how can tapping into that inner light within us influence the way we use language to bring healing to, you can say, the others?
What a great question. There is a spark inside of us that is our life. It's our livelihood. It's the thing that makes our mouth move. It's the thing that makes our heart jump. It's the way we are given opportunity to breathe. And that breath is the life inside of us. That is the light inside of us. And that light inside of us is seeking to exude out of us, to uh, develop so greatly that it would come out of us, and that everyone we meet would be able to see this light, would be able to benefit from this light. And I believe that Yeshua HaMashiach also was this light and put this light in each and every one of us through his Father. And so in the story of creation, we were all given breath, and that breath is light, and that light keeps us alive. And our duty as human beings, I believe, is to search out that light and to determine why it was given to us in the first place. Why were we placed on this earth? What are we doing here? What is the purpose of my life? And my belief is that if we tap into the most painful parts of ourselves, we get to find that inner light that heals us from the inside out. And we have our own anecdotal antidote medicine that comes through us that first helps us and then helps others. I don't have a unique story in that I've experienced hardship, great hardship in my life. And through that hardship, I was able to ignite this spark. And in igniting that spark, I was able to see deeper into myself. That allows me to see deeper into the humans and the wonderful, beautiful people who are in front of me, my clients, the people I talk to, my patients, and allowing them to see themselves too. And ultimately, if I can lift a person up out of their darkness during their most difficult time, then I know that I'm doing my purpose. And that's what I believe that inner light is.
Right. It's a wonderful thing that you have shared with me. There's a spark in us, and we have to find it out. And it will be just work as medicine. You can say the healing power it has. But is there some mechanism to find it? Because I think it is not easy to find that spark.
It's not. I think it's hidden just like a beautiful gem is hidden in the crusts of the earth. I believe that if our heart is earnest and faithful to seeking the truth, we will find it. And all we have to do is want it. We have to want to find it. And if we want to find it, I believe that we will find it. And this has been my experience. This has been many of the experiences of those who have also found their inner light. Is it starts with a question like, why am I here? What am I doing here? What is my body, and what is my soul, and what is the purpose of all of this? And why did I go through so much junk in my life? And help me make sense of it. And I believe that that's where we can begin with a simple question. Why am I here? Who created me? And the questions will just keep going, and you will have different questions than me, and I will have different questions than the next person, because our inner makeup, our inner puzzle is different for each one of us, and only we can truly ourselves individually find our own path to that truth.
Right. I think it's will be a great help for us in our lives if we can discover it. My next question is: when words fail, can smile become a form of healing language? And if
I,
so, how does it work as a medicine?
mm. Well, oftentimes we think that language is just words, or it's just verbal. And it's not. It's how we interact in the world. It's how we show up. It's what our body language says. It's what our face says. It's what our eyes say. It's our presentation to all that is. And when you're walking down the street, like you're walking down the street and you see someone who's not happy, or you can feel and sense that they have a cloud over them. They're depressed, they're sad. Anyone you encounter, we've had these experiences where we see people who are just not in their in their light. A smile is language. It's an invitation to participate in this other experience that allows an expression that maybe wouldn't have been there at the beginning, but because there's something that we carry that we can give to someone. I believe a smile is a gift, and in that gift it lights someone else up because it cuts that hardship in that moment. And when that hardship in that moment is cut for just a moment, a little bit of light enters. And if just a little bit can enter, then we can expand that and improve that. But the smile sometimes is the first in. It's the first penetration. It's the first breaking of that vessel.
Right. I think smile is something more than this. It has a ripple effect, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When someone offers a smile to other, either he or she is in a depressed and dejected mood, there you can say the happens something inside, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe after a few moments, the same ripple effect can be transferred to another person.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's where it is. And so the question is, where do you get your smile from that you can give it to somebody else?
Yeah, yes, right. It's you can say blessing for me that I have on my show you that a person who smiles and shares other smiles. That's wonderful. And my next question, in the workplace, where some finally finds their voice, how does that impact their confidence and you can say interactions?
I think when one finds their voice, they find the true essence of who they are. And that is a confidence that no one can take away. We are so bogged down in our workplaces, in the world, of thinking about what other people think. And this can often ruin our self-image and what we believe in ourselves because we have criticism and we take on that criticism, not knowing that we are destroying ourselves with that criticism instead of building ourselves with that criticism. And so when one finds their inner voice, they are able to participate and interact with that criticism in a positive way that lets them show up grounded, resolved, able. And there's an honesty in that place. And in that honesty, there's a deep sense of self. And that allows us to show up with more confidence. And it bleeds to the people who are working with us because they are able to also show up in that way, in that same sense of authenticity.
Right. Can you share a moment where empathy and your words help someone open up and you can say begin healing?
I
I
love
think
this.
I think you have surely a wonderful story, more than one, two, three stories.
Yes, I do have stories. One of my stories, I share this one because it's so profound. There was a man I was working with, and he was depressed. He was extremely depressed, and his wife was also hurt at this time. So she had a fall, and he had a fall, and they were both in the facility at the same time. And he was just kind of giving up on life, didn't want to get into therapy, didn't want to participate. He was just kind of giving up. And I wanted to help him get from, he was on puree diet. He was on a puree texture diet from a regular diet, meaning all of his food was blended. So when you don't have pleasure in food, this can also create trauma, and it can also create hardship and depression because food is such a sense of pleasure for us. And so he wasn't able to participate in regular food. And we were not able to motivate him. So I couldn't just go into his room and say, let's do some therapy. It wasn't like he was like right there. It was like I had to like meet him where he was. And in me meeting where he was, I had this awareness that said, figure out where his heart is. So I went into this room one day, not doing conventional therapy, but I brought in markers and pens and tape and scissors. And I asked him stories about his life and people he loved and what he had accomplished and all the good things in his life. And I made a word collage on the wall that he had no choice but to look at all day. And that word collage was right in front of his face. And sure enough, days into him having that on his wall, he started to get up, and he was getting up to use the restroom. He was getting up and participating with the other therapies. And when someone can participate in the other therapies, assisting them with swallowing therapy is that much better because the lungs are getting more oxygen, their body is moving, there's more movement of structures and air and oxygen. And when I can see that a person is doing those things, I can start doing more intensive swallowing therapy. So as a result of him having that word collage, he shared with me that it was the pivotal point for him that made him remember that he had a reason to live, that there was a purpose to his life still, and that there was something still to be present for. And he got better, and his final session with us was a ice cream. So he and I shared ice cream together for his final session, and then he was discharged, and I never saw him again.
You made his life.
He made mine too. It was great.
Okay, wonderful. It's great that I have you on my show. Just like you from Argentina, Marcela was with me. Just like you, she is you can super excited, and you are a powerhouse for others. You motivate, and it's a blessing on the earth. That's a great thing. In communities, when people truly feel heard, how does that create a ripple effect of you can say healing?
Listening is the most incredible skill that we can develop. When we listen, we see the other person. When we are able to listen with intention, the other person feels seen. And that is a ripple effect of access, access to greater connection, access to greater communication. We learn about people, the things that they're carrying. We don't know the burdens that people are carrying unless we are willing to listen. And sometimes those old burdens that we carry, that others carry, bleed into the present moment. It's not just in the past. It's not just a backpack that we're carrying. We're just filling the backpack more and more and more. And as we're filling that backpack, there's a sense of heaviness, and you can meet people and sense this heaviness. I meet people like this often where they've been impacted with neurological deficits or a stroke or a traumatic brain injury, or they fell and now they have a concussion, and there's just a heaviness because they haven't truly understood themselves in these moments of their impact. And to listen to what their feelings are and to listen to where they're at is to make space for the pain that they have, which they may not have had space for in the past. And so when we can listen, it provides an authenticity of, you're important. What you endured is important. And if I can help you to hear yourself, then you will also allow others to be heard. And there's that, again, ripple effect of being heard, and being heard allows for deeper connection that leads to trust, because that trust is the ultimate thing we're looking for. We're looking for trust. We're looking to trust one another. We've been so betrayed in our lifetimes with people telling our secrets to other people, us telling other people's secrets to others. And so there's a dignity and a honesty that comes with that ability to listen. And it's a sensory process. It's something that is so beyond words. It's a presence. And when we have that presence with one another, we surely will impact that person, and that person will remember that. And maybe they don't experience that when they encounter somebody for the first time, but you know that you've planted a seed that's allowed them to get to that place so that they can provide that for someone else too. And that's what I think being able to listen does in the realm of trusting one another. There is the other part of it. When we listen, are we able to be a vault? Are we able to take that in and not share someone else's personal information with somebody else? And I think that takes time. I think that takes more discernment. We don't share all of our information with everyone. But knowing how far you can go with a person in your development of that relationship. And I think ultimately we're seeking to find balance in our relationships of what we share and what we receive so that we both feel a mutual trust that brings that confidence.
I think language therapists are the best people. There is some problem with sound.
Yeah,
Am I audible?
you are audible. It's a bit echoey.
Okay. I don't know why it is echoing at this moment.
It's good.
Okay, right. All right. I will move for the next question. As a teacher, I have some thing to talk about my students about classroom. In classrooms, how do simple and clear words help students trust themselves and their teachers?
Ask that question in a different way.
Right. As you can say the teachers in classrooms interact with students, how our words affect the students to build their confidence, to make them speak up in the classrooms. When you can say that in my area, there may be a different setup for the classrooms in Asia. In your country, it may be a quite different. Students may be more bold and confident, but in our traditional classrooms, there may be something quite different. How our words, the words of the teachers, and you can say maybe simple and clear to build the trust and confidence of the students to speak up what they want to talk about.
Great question. I believe that when we are teaching children, our job is to help pull out of them what they are. And what we often do as adults is we want them to do what we want them to do. And this shuts down their inner creativity. And the gift would be able to use language in a way to excavate, to pull out, to see what's great in them, to speak that over them, to let them hear these things that are great about them that are seen by you, their teacher, by you, their parent, and helping them to be self-reflective about the good parts of them and the weaknesses that they have too. Because when we can see ourselves in both ways, we can learn how to implement more strength strategies to help build those weaknesses. But if we are constantly being reinforced and seen in our weaknesses, we can often forget that we also have strengths. And so I think it's really important that we as adults in the classroom setting provide constructive criticism and use the sandwich method. Use a method that allows the student to realize that they are still great and amazing. And there are some areas of growth as well, and to accept that and to learn how to accept that there's areas of growth at the same time that they are still doing amazing. Being able to reinforce good with weaknesses and reinforce, let me say that in a different way, to reinforce weaknesses with good, constructive criticism instead of just criticism. And I think that's really important in the classroom.
Right. Because sometimes when we talk about the students, when they consider what we have said in a different way, sometimes they maybe a blockage for their understanding. Sometimes they may be heard, but they don't like to share with us. Sometimes it happens, and
Yes.
we talk in a different way, but they perceive in a different way.
Yes, because their inner environment was created by all of their outer environment and all of the reinforcements that came in from that outer environment that made up their inner lexicon, their inner communication. And this is why we say, and the world says this, and the one we us who are talking about communication, we say, remember and think about how you're speaking to your children, because it turns into their inner dialogue, it turns into their inner narrative, and we don't want to be part of their inner narrative that's destructive. We want to be part of an inner narrative that is enlightening, that is strength oriented, that is growth oriented. And our mouth and our tongue and our words have the capability to destroy a child from the inside out, that will create behavior over time that will destroy others too. And we don't want to do that. And so we have a responsibility as adults to take in and understand and have a responsibility for perception. Is this child perceiving me in a way that is constructive? Is this child perceiving me in a way that allows him to see their strengths and weaknesses? And do they feel loved in that space at the same time? Do they feel safe to make mistakes? Do they feel safe to do the wrong thing without getting demolished, without being destroyed? And we so often see that with children. Like, we berate children for making mistakes, not knowing, not remembering that children are still learning as we are. We're still children. We're just bigger children. And so words have the capacity to hurt us just as much as they have with children. And it's so important for us to remember that we our responsibility in what we say and how we say it doesn't stop there. It stops at how that person is perceiving us and how we are attuning our listening to see their body language, to see the nuances in their face, to see how they're responding, to hear how they're responding. Did my message get to that child in a way that is constructive, or did I hurt them in some way? These are good questions to ask ourselves.
I experienced one thing that I was, you can say, chatting with some of my students in my classroom. It was in a very lighter mood. I make some, you can fun. We were in a good mood. But after a few days, I get some message from another friend of that students that my words hurt him in a way. We were not, you can say, doing such kind of thing. But I think we have a different culture, diverse communities, but some words maybe you can see the toxic for others. We may be selective, you can see the as a teacher. Okay, thank you very much. We are going to move for other question. When tune, body language, and words align, why does trust grow so much stronger?
Honesty, authenticity, the ability to be who we are and in front of someone else. I believe, in my experience, when we are able to truly be in front of someone and let them be seen, there is a relaxation. They don't have to fight anymore to be seen. They don't have to be fighting to be heard. And that sense of authenticity bleeds onto that other person because they are seeking that degree of relaxation within them. Communication is traumatic sometimes because someone is always going to use something against us. We're afraid. We're afraid of being re-traumatized. We're afraid of being criticized. We're afraid of being judged. And when we can allow ourselves to be in our own authenticity with another person, it allows them that same sense of freedom to be who they are too, which builds trust, connection, the ability to work collaboratively. There's better outcomes. There's so many good things that come from oneself being authentic in communication and then being able to kind of bring that platform to someone else so that they can also do that.
Right. I'm so much engaged in your conversation that I haven't, you can say, noticed that we have spent, you can 38 minutes. You are super engaging personality. Just I have to skip some questions. My second last question to you, and that is, you can, when revising painful memories, how does changing the language we choose help us move forward?
So this is where perception comes in very importantly. Perception. We have experienced our trauma from one perception. And if we want to change our narrative and our story around the trauma that we have faced, we have to be committed to being able to see that trauma from multiple different perspectives within ourselves. We will hold ourselves in captivity if we keep thinking about that particular trauma in the same way. In that, it's a choice. We've decided that this is the way I am going to think about this. And that keeps us tethered. It keeps us in a process that doesn't change, it stays the same. We don't have healing there because the trauma is the trauma is the trauma, and we're talking about the trauma in the exact same way. What we want to do is go back into that memory and perceive the trauma from a different perspective. And in that perspective, new language will form because we will see things from another viewpoint. It's our lives and our traumas and our experiences are like facets of a diamond. We can see only one piece sometimes. We can only see a few pieces, but we need to turn it around so that we can see the other parts of it. My dad used to say, he still does, he says that our lives are like a diamond and they get mud on them, they get dirt on them. And one part might have dirt and the other part might not have dirt. But we have to turn the thing so that we can see where the dirt is and see where we can clean off some parts of the way we're thinking about it so that our choice is no longer in keeping ourselves captive in that trauma, but we are able to free ourselves in that trauma.
That's great. A great message from great dad to great daughter. Hadassah, as the co-author of The Power Within, what's the most important message from your book for the people who feel unheard, disconnected, or silenced today?
Mm. There is an inner voice inside that is seeking to connect with you. There is that voice inside that is seeking to connect with you. Most oftentimes, we're seeking connection outside of us before fully being connected within us. And that's what my chapter in The Power Within is about. It's about connecting to that inner voice, connecting to the inner perception, connecting to the knowing that I went through these things, but they don't define me. The definition of me is the light in me and who God says that I am. And I have a duty to look and excavate, to bring out, to break free from that place and speak about it in that way, not from a place of impact and not from a place of this happened to me, but a place of this is what I learned from what happened to me. This is the most amazing learning capability because I have scars all over my body, but they taught me how to be resilient. They taught me how to trust people. They taught me discernment. They taught me intuition, and all of these areas of our lives just simply wouldn't be if we didn't have adverse experiences. And so my chapter talks about some of the experiences that I had that were very intense and very dark and deep and terrible, and my ability to perceive in different ways that would allow me to have a greatness in my life, even though I have endured some of those very terrible things. And that's the message of the power within in terms of my chapter. And I believe the entire book, it has this vein of being able to share your voice, clarity, resilience, strength, finding light where there is darkness, being light where there is darkness. And sometimes that darkness is our life and our life experiences. And we are just finding ourselves. And language and communication is the way that we connect to our inner being, that we connect to our higher self, and we connect with the divine. And when we are able to do that, we find ourselves settling not in the trauma, but in the purpose of that trauma, because everything we endure is not just for us, it's for everybody else. That's the goal of us figuring ourselves out. We get to share ourselves with the world, and the world gets to receive a piece of our legacy through our voice and our presence in the world. And I think that is something that is so incredible to be able to do. And it's a talk that teaches. It's a communication that teaches others that they can also be in a place of hardship and greatness at the same time.
Right. We are going to wrap it up our discussion, but after my, you can see the closing, you will give the message at the end. You can say, obviously, you have talked about, you can say the wonderful things that how words affect us. They may be a weapon, they may be, you can say the medicine. It's up to us what we choose. Words can imprison, but I have, you can say the extracted from your conversation. Words can liberate, and when used with intention, language become medicine. Please give, you can say the message for the audience for the 2 day session.
Be inspired to speak goodness to people. Be inspired to speak goodness to yourself. Be inspired to sustain and maintain a sense of inner narrative, inner story that is so inherently resilient that anything that should come towards you would be, I see that. It's okay. I can get through that. And I'm going to help somebody else get through that too. Resilience is expressed, it's something that is learned. And in our expression and how we move in the world, our voice is an expression of our true self. And find that true self, find your inner truth, and speak it lovingly, kindly, patiently, with sweetness and joy and gentleness, because that is the ultimate desire, peace. We want peace within ourselves and we want peace within the world. And it begins with how we speak to ourselves. It begins with how we perceive. It begins with how we interact with one another. We're not here to fight. We're here to create peace. And with one conversation at a time, we can do that.
Thank you very much. Now, after this discussion, you can say the confidence or belief is 100% more that was ever before. That language is medicine, and it has a wonderful ripple effect. I received, I perceived, I am sure you can say that contribute in, you can say the future. Thank you very much. It's a wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank
What
you.
an honor. Yeah.